Roll call, please.
Mrs. Avery,
Here.
Dr. Bashara Blouth, Dr. Billowoo, Mrs. Chester, Mrs. Cole Geddes, Mr. Gentile, Dr. Parmenter, Mr. Dees,
Here.
and Mrs. Carmen.
Here, can we all rise for the flag salute led by Dr. Bashara Blouth?
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands,
Hands.
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. If we
Good evening, everyone, and thank you, President Carmen. This evening, Mrs. Nixon and I will be presenting the proposed budget. So we will be screen sharing for those of you attending the board meeting virtually. For those of you in person, hopefully you had the opportunity to pick up a copy of the presentation when you arrived here at GTMS. So it is March 15th, and we are already completed the proposed budget for submission to the state. Next slide, please. An extensive number of factors go into budget development. They include our district's 3-year goals, and then looking first and foremost within that at student needs. And obviously we are in a time when student needs are ever changing. Some areas are becoming more prevalent and needing more emphasis than ever. So as you could see, this is viewed from academic, social, emotional, behavioral, and physical. Of course, we look at assessment and evaluation in both instructional and non-instructional areas. And as we share every year, there are federal and state mandates that we are required to fulfill. We look at past year's budgets. We look at the fiscal status of the school district. And then as we work our way through the budget process, we review it, analyze it, to make decisions that lead us to the proposed budget. And of course, stakeholder input, that is both here within the school district, with our Board of Education and any members of the public, as well as a variety of committees that we run. Next slide, please. Our proposed budget includes all current programs and services that we use to support every student who comes to the district, be it general ed, special education, ELL, students with 504 plans, our typical students. The board has always been supportive of reasonable class size. And once again, we are maintaining that in this budget. In the areas of technology, this is important for both the teaching and learning process, obviously extra important right now, to help us with communication both within the district and with stakeholders and the public in general. And it also adds to the efficiency, particularly of administrative and office staff member tasks. We look at safety and security, and this is a good old-fashioned safety and security doors and how well they function, our electronic surveillance and security systems, supplies, personnel such as our SROs, as well as aspects related to the pandemic. Our district works very hard to maintain our schools. And here at GTMS, the school is 21 years old, and it is our newest school. So this is really important as our buildings age, that we keep them not only clean, but safe and in good condition. And then, as I previously mentioned, there are those government laws and mandates, and they fall both on the instructional and non-instructional sides. I believe Mrs. Nixon's going to pick it up with the next slide.
Thank you. This slide reviews state aid. As we know, the revenue section of our budget is mostly state aid and made up with the tax levy. So what state aid is year to year really determines what we need to look at when we're determining any changes in the tax levy. This year we had an equalization aid increase of $1 million compared to our July 2020 state aid that was reduced due to the pandemic. So in actuality, it was an increase in state aid, but more along the lines of $260,000 when compared to the March 2020 original state aid figure when the current fiscal year budget was submitted. We also had an increase in special revenue fund for our preschool education aid of about $240,000 compared to this current school year. Next slide, please. So when we reviewed all of our budget expenditures, we started to complete budget reductions when we received our state aid figures, and we were able to reduce the budget by a total of $4.3 million, which included reductions in non-instructional and instructional categories. For non-instructional, we were able to reduce projects that were able to be covered through maintenance or capital reserve funds that we have available. We also were able to reduce a number of non-instructional accounts of supplies, particularly related to the pandemic, with using current federal grants as well as upcoming federal grants that are available. On the instructional side, we offset some salaries and benefits to the additional preschool funding that we received. We again were able to offset numerous expenses using the federal grants that have become available since the pandemic. And then we also had a breakage from retirements, and that included not needing to fill positions that will be retiring this current year that we do not have to fill in the next budget year. Along with that was also then health benefit savings. Next slide, please. So the tax levy revenue that we looked at, we had a tax levy available of 2%, which was about $677,000. We also had bank cap available of $810,000. $325,000 of that $810,000 is set to expire this year. So those two bullets show the amount that the budget could have increased within the allowable tax levy maximum, but our proposed general fund increase tax levy change for the 21-22 budget is a flat tax levy at 0%. Next slide, please. And I'll turn it back over to Dr. Dupree.
So a lot of work has been completed to bring us to this proposed budget. And so obviously there will be the opportunity for board members and the public to make comments or ask questions And then as you can see on the agenda, there is the resolution to set the tax levy and the total budget. Then continuing work by Mrs. Nixon and Mrs. Pakula, the final details are entered into the systems and the budget is submitted to the New Jersey Department of Ed through our County Office of Education. At that point, they review the budget and the state provides us any feedback. And then there is one more opportunity for public input on April 26th at the public budget hearing. And I believe our final slide first goes to any board questions or comments.
Yes, I would like to say I'm very pleased with the zero flat increase. I know that our school board administrator worked very hard to get it to zero, so we don't increase taxes for our taxpayers.
Thank you. Is there more voting? Yes.
Joy, is there any additional federal aid or anything coming in?
Yes, we are. I'm sorry. Yes, we are waiting.
waiting for the final application to be uploaded on New Jersey Home Rule for the second round of the CARES funding that we received. Those amounts have been shared with the board, about $2.1 million in those second round CARE Act funds are going to become available to us for the next fiscal year, for about 2 years actually. And then we're also receiving an additional amount for learning loss and for mental health. And there are discussions of a third round, part of the third stimulus package that was approved, but we do not have any amounts or final determinations on those figures at this time.
Joy, so for the second round of the CARES Act funding, is that in the 21-22 budget or is that in the 22-23 budget?
We are able to actually start in this year's budget and carry over into the 21-22 year budget.
And has that been
The application was supposed to be uploaded today for us to see all the details as far as the allowable uses, and that was not available as of this afternoon, so we expect it to be available tomorrow. But we've already received preliminary instructions for that, and that's where we were able to make reductions in the budget that's being submitted. We know that we will be using that funding for those expenses.
that was my question. If we've already taken those funds and used that to determine the budget. Okay.
Yes.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, seeing none. Is there any other presentations, Dr. Jacob, or is that all? Okay, on to budget submission. I'm just going to read it. Be resolved to approve the proposed school budget for the district 21-22 school year for the submission to the Executive County Superintendent of Schools as follows. Total budget is $70,924,780, of which the local tax levy is $33,990,218. Be it further resolved to acknowledge that the 21-22 budget as described above results in a general fund tax levy of $33,872,502 and a debt service fund tax levy of $117,716. Be it further resolved pursuant to code, budgeted travel expenses do not exceed $50,000. Also pursuant to code, maximum dollar amounts for public relations and professional services have been established and are detailed in the appropriations section of the 21-22 budget. Can I have a motion to approve this budget as proposed? Is there any board comment? May I have roll call, please?
Mr. Gentile?
Yes.
Dr. Parmenter?
Yes.
Mrs. Avery?
yes,
Dr. Bashir Rod? Yes. Dr. Middlewood?
Yes.
Mrs. Cole Gaddis? Yes. Vice President Davis?
Yes.
And President Carter?
Yes. Superintendent's report, please.
Thank you. The first item is the attorney's report, so I'll turn it over to Mrs. Halkelko.
Our last meeting, I had the opportunity to work with administration on some key platform matters, employee matters, student matters, policy matters.
Is there any questions for the attorney? Seeing none, moving on.
Yes, the enrollment report as of the end of February, we have 3,165 students in district. Then if you add in students at out-of-district placements, home instruction, charter, our Garden State Academy and Head Start for preschool and choice, the total is 3,331 students. Yes, just a brief update. I am guessing everyone that remembers that it was about a year ago that we had children in person for the last time for just about a year at 5 days a week. So if we look back to March 16th of 2020, that was the last in-person day. And then on September 14th, we brought our students in for the hybrid model. And today, in pre-K to 6, we were very excited to welcome back our children from hybrid on the split cohorts to 5 days of in-person learning. Everything went very smoothly. There was a lot of preparation leading up to today, including detailed updates that went to families last week, as well as guidance for our staff in every category. We are monitoring how this is going. And again, the first day went very well. We do have a small number across the district of virtual students that would like to join in person. And as per our plan, as space allows, that will happen on April 19th. And we are already starting to review that. One of the things I do want to mention in terms of the federal monies, we talked about the ordering of air purifiers for our classrooms and offices and larger spaces. And we are able to use the federal funding. And I'm very pleased to say that with the research that our operations manager, Mr. Rossetti, did, we found an excellent unit used by NASA, by very large school districts across the country. And it actually purifies the air. These units have already started arriving in the school district. And Mr. Rossetti will be working with his staff on a plan for implementation, placing them in the classrooms and giving staff guidance. Basically, they run on their own and the staff does not have to do anything with them. So that's a great example of our next steps, as well as how we're using the federal funding. My last message in this part, it is really imperative that everyone continue to follow health and safety guidelines. Staying in that yellow or moderate risk level or improving to green is what helps us maintain this 5 days of in-person learning. Thank you.
Any questions or comments about the agenda? Seeing none, moving on to curriculum instruction, there are no items, so finance and operations, please.
I'll turn it over to Mrs. Nixon.
Thank you. Resolution 1 and 2 are to approve the consolidation of school nutrition programs agreement with the Galloway Community Charter School for the 21-22 school year. Resolution 3 and 4 are to approve our risk management consultant agreement with Glen Insurance for the 21-22 school year. Resolution 5 is to approve the submission of the fiscal year 22 preschool education budget workbook in the amount listed. Resolution 6 is to approve following out-of-district placement. And resolution 7 is to approve home instruction.
Thank you. Can I have a motion for items 1 through 7 under finance and school operations? Is there any board comment? May I have roll call, please?
Mr. Gentile?
Yes.
Dr. Cornette? Yes. Mrs. Avery?
Yes.
Dr. Bashir? Yes. Dr. Galloway? Mrs. Colfatis? Yes. Vice President Dace?
Yes.
And President Harmon?
Yes, facilities and maintenance, please.
Thank you. I have an update from our job site meetings that were held on March 1st and again this morning. The security vestibules are at their final stages of completion. We hope to have a completion and with a final punch list over the next 2 weeks after the final inspections take place. And then district operations building is ongoing. There are some delays related to the pandemic, but things are moving along for that building as well.
Thank you. Is there any board questions or comments on facilities and maintenance? Seeing none, moving on to communities and school facilities. It's still suspended due to COVID. Personnel, please.
Thank you, President Carmen. And I will mention that I did get a text from someone who was watching virtually that not everyone is able to be heard. So I will remind you to project and make sure your microphone is turned on. Thank you. We start off with 2 letters of intent to retire. And as always, out of respect for these staff members, I will read the resolutions in their entirety. First, we have a resolution to accept, with regret, the letter of intent to retire from Marion Martin, Arthur Rand Elementary School teacher, effective June 30th, 2021. Mrs. Martin has worked in the Galloway Township Public School District for 29 years, and her dedication and service to students and staff are appreciated by our entire school family.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to approve item 100%?
So moved.
Is there any board comment? May I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Gentile?
Yes.
Dr. Clementer?
Yes.
Mrs. Avery?
yes,
Dr. Bashir Blau? Yes. Dr. Billwood? Mrs. Cole Gaddis? Vice President Dace?
Yes.
And President Carmen?
Yes.
Thank you. Resolution 2 is to accept, with regret, the letter of intent to retire from Mary Ann Steinman, Reeds Road Elementary School nurse, effective June 30th, 2021. Mrs. Steinman has worked in the Galloway Township Public School District for 21 years, and her dedication and service to students and staff are appreciated by our entire school family.
Can I have a motion to approve item 200%?
So moved.
Is there any board comment? May I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Gentile?
Yes.
Dr. Bashir Blau? Yes. Mrs. Avery?
yes,
Dr. Billwood? Mrs. Cole Gaddis? Dr. Clementer? Yes. Vice President Dace?
Yes.
And President Carmen?
Yes.
Thank you. Item 3 is a family leave request, as is item 4, item 5, and item 6, and all the details are listed. Resolution 7 is to approve Lisa Clark as administrative assistant to the school business administrator, and this is effective April 12th. The salary and details are listed, and this is a replacement position. Resolution 8 is to approve Michael Lindsay Pizzuto as the district float nurse. This is a leave position. And then in resolution 9, we are also approving Ms. Pizzuto as a district school nurse, a replacement position for the 21-22 school year. Resolution 10 is to extend Jennifer Jones as a speech teacher. And then resolution 11 is to approve substitute teachers.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to approve items 3 through 11 on the personnel?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there any board comment? May I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Gentile?
Yes.
Dr. Carpenter? Yes. Mrs. Avery?
yes,
Dr. Bashir Blau? Yes. Dr. Billwood? Mrs. Cole Gaddis? Vice President Dace?
Yes.
And President Carmen?
Yes. Supplemental personnel, please.
Thank you. In this section, we have items to approve staff as home instruction teachers, staff to be trainers for live stream, which begins tomorrow with the middle school, for teachers to be trained and participate in the Special Education Academy for all things IEP, and then classroom assistants for that same training. For those items 2, 3, and 4, we do use federal Title IIA funds. Item 5 is to approve Krista Venice as a Braille translator, and the details are listed. And then resolution 6 is to approve Matthew Maxwell as the chemical hygiene officer.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to approve items 1 through 6 on the supplemental personnel?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Is there any board comment? Thank you. Can I have a roll call?
Dr. Bashir Blau? Yes. Mr. Gentile?
Yes.
Mrs. Avery?
yes,
Dr. Billwood? Mrs. Cole Gaddis? Dr. Carpenter? Yes. Vice President Dace?
Yes.
And President Carmen?
Yes. Moving on to policy, I see no items, so notice of public meeting, please.
Thank you. We do have another meeting in March on the 29th. And then, as mentioned, we have our public budget hearing and a regular meeting on April 26th.
Thank you. There's nothing under old business or new business going on the board. Dr. Bashir, do you have anything? Dr. Farmington? Mr. Dinzio? Mrs. Getz? Dr. Bill? Mr. Daisy?
With everybody, and still keep up your good work.
And I will echo Sherry's comments from the beginning. It's much appreciated that there's a zero tax levy increase for next year, and very good work on the budget as well. So Heidi, can we put the public comment? Is there